Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of the Mythic Banter. We have quite a jam-packed show for you this week. There's a lot of things to talk about. Akalon, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing very, very, very well. Thank you very much for asking. And yes, this week's show kind of filled up quick. There's a lot of topics, which is always a good thing. Some of them really big, some of them not so big. But I do need to say just one thing. If there is news that comes out on Friday, we will not be talking about it. Because Rurikon
just say it's my fault. Just say it's Rurikon's fault.
It's Rurikon's fault, by the way. Okay, Rurikon's fault, 100%.
100%. Yes.
Because again, last night, he's like, sorry, bro, can't do Friday. Can do tomorrow. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. No worries.
Listen, I've forgotten that it is tonight that the update for Monster Hunter Wilds happens, and I have a sneaky suspicion that, tonight is the Capcom showcase, but I have a sneaky suspicion, tonight being Thursday, that they're going to shadow drop the update immediately after the showcase. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but just in case they do, I'm going to be staying up late playing that thing, so, and then Friday morning is going to be a complete bust.
That's fair enough. Maybe we should just move the recording to a Thursday anyways, because pretty much all of your Monster Hunter updates happen on Thursdays. It seems to be where Monster Hunter likes to update their games. It's on Thursdays, which makes sense because it's the day before the weekend. People sort of get hyped for the weekend because they're going to spend their whole weekend no-lifing it, right?
Yeah, like an absolute chat. So listen, I know that we have a lot of topics, but I have the most important one right here. Check this out. Okay. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
Oh, that's really cool. Look. That is really cool. Look at that.
Like, you see the amount of detail I put on this? This is not finished yet, by the way, and it is on both sides. Okay, look at that.
Wow.
Okay,
I did
awesome. All that. But, listen, it's going to look a little bit more like this when I'm done. Look at this. Look at this.
Oh.
You see the streaks of oil and shit?
Yeah.
Like all the weathering? I'm going to do all of that in the other one as well. These are for those of you in the audio version of the podcast, I'm showing some of the panels of my Volcus terrain that I've been working on like a maniac. This is the real grind right here. This is what I've been really putting hours into.
Oh, yeah.
I'm addicted to this.
That stuff can take you a long time. Like, it can really steal your life.
Yes, it can.
Oh, yeah. 100%. I think, you know what? In the interest of time, because we do have a massive, massive show planned, let's get into the poll. Because the poll also has a topic that one of our viewers asked, can we just at least talk about it? So before we get into the topic...
The answer is no. I don't negotiate with anybody, so the answer is no. I don't even know what the topic is, but I'm not going to talk about it. Specifically because of him.
And here's where it gets amazing. I know for a fact this is a topic that Rurikon doesn't want to talk about, which is sometimes my favorite topics. But okay, so let's get into the poll first. You can talk about the poll.
Fuck that guy. Okay?
Okay, so the poll this week was, should more games be turned into movies? Which I thought was a good question because it seems like that's sort of where Hollywood is now. Since they can't make their own movies that's good, they're just taking games that's good and trying to turn them into good movies, which more often than not doesn't work, right?
They just take games that are good and then they make terrible movies out of them?
Yeah, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
But it fools us into thinking, hey, this might be good, and then we go watch it, so they still get their money, right?
I mean, if you remember that topic that we discussed a couple of episodes ago about the writer who said that some guy from Hollywood turned his script, his book,
Brandon
whatever
Sanderson.
it was. Yeah, that he turned it into this movie that had nothing to do with what the actual story was. It's like, if you contextualize that particular topic that we discussed into whenever a video game has been adapted into a movie over the last 2 decades or so, things make so much more sense, don't they?
It does. I mean, because there are movies that try to stick to the game lore as much as possible and try to tell the story of the game. But then you also do get movies that absolutely, you watch this and you go, wait,
how does this relate to my video game in any way, shape, or form?
None of this happened in the video game. What are we doing here? So it is sort of, I think it's sort of the difference between, Lord of the Rings, the movie, and Rings of Power. Lord of the Rings, the movie, they go through so much effort to try and be as true to, and you're never going to be fully true to the source material because
it's
all
impossible.
different kinds of media will translate differently in certain ways, right? So even in video games, there's some things that you can do in video games that just cannot work in movies. In books, the same thing. But you need to try and be as sort of loyal to the source material as is humanly possible. Rings of Power sort of goes, hey, we'll take the Tolkien universe and then we'll just do whatever political activism we want in it. And that's it, right? So you sort of end up with this weird amalgamation of shit that isn't Tolkien, but also isn't, like, I feel like some of these writers need to go to Hideo Kojima. Because Hideo Kojima is one of the few people out there that takes political activism, because all of his games is political activism. Like, it's super political. But he does it in such a way that it's good. Like, even if you don't agree with the politics, it's so well done that you just have to appreciate the brilliance of it, right? Because it's so well done. A movie that sort of hit this for me when I was very young was American X. I don't know if you remember, if you've ever watched American X.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
American
I've watched
X.
parts of it at least, but yeah.
Yeah. American X did this, right? It was 100% political activism. Like,
Wait,
that movie had a
was it-
super political message.
Was it American? Is that the one with Edward Norton?
Yeah. It's the one with the skinhead and he kills
then
the
yes,
black guy.
I've seen it. I don't remember all of it, but yes, I have seen it. Yeah.
That movie is full on political activism, right? But it's so well done that you have to appreciate it for what it is, because that's the point of it. The problem with a lot of the sort of, when you take Tolkien's work and try to turn it into political activism, it was never meant to be that. And so it doesn't hit because people go into it expecting to see Tolkien's work, right? Not whoever the hell wrote the bullshit that is Rings of Power. But anyways, so the poll gets 332 votes. Thank you so much to all of you that voted. 6% said yes, so it's already not looking good. 38% said hell no, we've had enough of this. And 53% said it depends. And then a lot of people in the comments sort of explained what they meant with depend. And it mostly boils down to what we literally just spoke about, right? If they can be
how faithful
honest
they are to the source material, yes.
Yes. In the poll, though, or in the comments, someone asked, hey, can you guys, and this is from 551 Def M, that asks, can you guys talk about Relooted? Now, do you know what Relooted is?
Relooted? No.
Okay.
No idea what this is.
So, Relooted, it's a game.
Oh, God. Okay. Yeah. I just looked it up. Yeah.
It's Epic Games that is publishing it. And it's a game, for those of you that don't know, about a bunch of black people that rob museums. Like that's the premise. I'm not even lying. They sort of hide it under the mask of they're taking back what once belonged to them, but it's literally a game about black people being thieves. And you just go, are you guys not, like, are you not seeing the white robes and the white hats? Like, when you go to the office, there's no one going, hey, boys, you should probably not be wearing that because the attire is insane. It's like when you want to be so anti-racist that you go all the way to the other side and just become a full KKK member, and you're like, wow, this is insane. Because
I remember seeing
would appreciate
this.
it.
And it's interesting because this is not like this week. I'm pretty sure I saw this a while ago. Like
it completely went off my radar. I saw it.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, this is bullshit. And then we just completely forgot to cover it.
I just saw that Relooted and I was like, what the fuck? Wait, so it's a game about them retaking artifacts from a museum by stealing them.
Yep.
I mean, like, listen, I got nothing. I just straight up got nothing. Is like little, like I said, you want to do your video games, you do whatever the video game you fucking want. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, good luck with that. You know?
Yeah. It's just, it is sad that you're so tone deaf that you think, hey, this is a brilliant idea. We should do more of this. It gets worse when you realize that, at least according to this, I've not looked into this game anywhere near enough, but at least according to 551, this game is made by a studio in South Africa. So it should tell you everything you need to know about what is happening here. Those of you that don't know won't know, right? But as a South African, I can tell you, the racism is surreal, and it's wild when the racism gets to the place where you're actually trying to make a game celebrating Black people, but in the end, you play into every single preconceived misconception that racists have about Black people. And you're just like, no, you could have done so much better. This is such a bad idea. And I want games, like, just to be super clear, I am anti-woke because I want games that actually celebrate African culture. Because there's a lot of cool stories to tell in Africa. And there's a lot of cool worlds that you can build around African myth and legend. This is not it, though. This is not how you do it. So if you're a developer wanting to do stuff like this, don't. Just please do not. But anyways, since you have nothing extra,
do whatever you want. Like, to me, the way that I look at it is like, hey, listen, do whatever you want. I hope your game is fantastic. Go right ahead. It's like, I just don't. I don't know, man. It's weird.
We also have to talk.
I have no opinion.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Thank you so much to everyone that voted in the poll, of course. We really appreciate it. So in the future, when you guys see that poll, please vote on it, because it does give us something to talk about and to see where you guys are at. And also, if you guys will not mind just hitting that subscribe button and also hitting the like button, that does help out. Then, Rurikon, we have to talk about...
You know that every time you talk about the poll, I have a mental image of you dancing on a stripper pole, and it's very disconcerting.
Every single time I talk about the poll, I have a mental image of Polish people.
The polls?
Yeah. And it comes from, there's a show in England, right? There's a show in England.
Looked it up.
There's a show in England called Would I Lie to You? And it's 8 out of 10 cats does countdown.
Baby, would I lie to you? Oh yeah.
It's 8 out of 10 cats does countdown. And in this, there's Susie Dent, she works in Dictionary Corner. She had this moment where she's talking about, there's all of these damn polls out there, but she's talking about, like, she was asked the question, which accent is the sexiest accent in the world? Because she's a lexicographer, which means she deals with accents and words and stuff. And she's like, well, there's all of these damn polls out there. And everyone sort of sits there for a second and then realizes, wait, what? This is insane, right? Because she's talking about polls, as in what we run here. But it sounds like she's talking about Polish people being in England running around sounding shit. And every single time I say the word poll, I just think of Polish people. So if there's some polls in the audience, let us know in the comment section down below.
I'm extremely partial to the Cockney accent, I think.
I like the
type
Cockney
of shit that you hear in, what type of shit you hear in, like, the Snatch movie and shit like that. I'm all about that.
Oh yeah, the Cockney accent is probably one of the coolest accents you can hear. But we have to talk about your favorite streamer and Pothead.
My favorite streamer and Pothead.
I know you're a huge Casitron fan, right? Aren't you?
Me?
Yeah, I'm just asking.
Absolutely. Watch her every day. I remember back in the day when she used to do gameplay, right?
Yeah.
And I remember that I would always be like, I'd be checking, like, what are the most popular streamers, whatnot. She'd be one of the most popular ones.
Yeah.
And I always thought that it was interesting that her choice for her branding was the same as Brazzers. I was like, that's...
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You didn't know that? Like, her Caseytron thing was basically the same font, same style, same colors as the Brazzers logo, which, for those of you who don't know, Brazzers is like that. It's one of those websites that if you're a nice Christian boy, you shouldn't go to.
Well, it's one of those websites that if you're a nice boy, you shouldn't go to, Christian or not. It's not very helpful. But yes, Christians should absolutely not be visiting those sites.
But it's like, it just tells you all you need to know about her even back then, right? It's like anything for views, anything goes. Let's go, baby.
I think the thing with Casey Tron is she sort of started out as not necessarily the worst content creator in the world, but slowly her brain has just been melted, right? To the point now where Casey Tron has been at the center of controversies. And almost all of the controversies involve her just slandering people. Sorry?
She just self-inserts, though. She self-inserts herself into the controversies, even if it has nothing to do with her.
But then she also just slanders people, right? So she just casually threw out that Tectone is a rapist. Just casually. Yeah, he grapes skulls. It's like, what? Do you have any proof of this? No proof. No nothing.
But he does it, yeah.
Yeah,
well, that bald prick looks guilty as fuck. 100%.
Yeah,
yes.
And the sad part is, and why I think this, we sort of laugh it off in the modern era. Oh yeah, she just accuses men of graping. We sort of laugh it off, but it is serious because there are a lot of people out there who don't really care about facts. They don't really care about information.
Oh, absolutely,
they hear their favorite streamer say that someone is a rapist, and they just believe it. In fact, after Casey Tron made all of those allegations, Tectone gets almost every single post he makes has people commenting, calling him, "While you're a grape, who cares?" Right? And it's like, dude, wow. Okay, so you don't even care that this has been debunked, that Casey Tron herself basically said, well, I may have just made it up, right? You don't even care. That is now just the truth. But anyways, so Casey Tron, Denims, and Frogan. You guys know about this. We covered the whole Ethan Klein stuff that's happened, right? Well, they just got served their actual papers. So Ethan Klein told them that he's going to sue them because he did this genius move of copywriting it quietly. And then they made a genius move, or maybe moronic move, of literally in their reaction saying, watch our reaction so that you don't give him views.
Basically, getting rid of one of the main pillars of fair use under the Copyright Act, which is your content should never act as a market replacement.
Yeah,
and, even if it does, you should at the very least make a good faith effort to shout the other person out, something like that. We all know how this works, right?
Yeah,
and most people don't care about, oh yeah, sure, you reacted, whatever, that's cool. Some people actually like it, some people don't like it, it's whatever. But ultimately, always make a good faith effort to link back to the original poster, so on and so forth, which not only they didn't do, they did the exact opposite. They basically were like, yeah, fuck Ethan, fuck his content, hope he gets no money out of it. Watch mine instead, because that way you're supporting me instead of him. The funny one is also when Denim just goes, if you enjoyed not giving any money to Ethan, throw a prime. Just like casually, just give me money instead. Just like throw a prime. It's like, yeah, let's go, boys. Like,
and I think it should be mentioned that actually makes it worse for Denims. Because
of course,
by saying that legally,
but this,
not only are you stealing work, you're actively trying to profit off the stealing of the work, right? So normally there is such a thing as you're profiting off the work, whether you intended to or not. That is copyright infringement. You're not allowed to do it. But if you actively copyrighted the work, right? So you stole the copyright work and you actively pursued to make money off of it, that's worse, right? Like legally speaking, that's much worse.
But the interesting thing about that is also, obviously, this is why she needed to get ahead of everybody else and just go like, okay, I'm just going to drop my GoFundMe ahead of everybody else. It's like a fucking race to the bottom, bro. They just they all just like, yep, fuck you. I'm in it for myself. Give me all the money. It's like, what the fuck?
Originally, and this is where it gets so much worse, because originally, if you guys remember, Denims was the one that made a GoFundMe because she was going to sue Ethan, right? And then realized, wait, I don't actually have a lawsuit here. I'll just refund the money. And then 2 weeks later, Ethan goes, so anyways, I copyrighted
Uno
this
reverse,
shit.
Bitch.
And now it's back up, right?
Ethan pulls out the Uno reverse.
So fundamentally, they now got served with their papers, right? Denims, Frogan, and Caseytron. Now, I haven't seen anything from Denims and Frogan yet. I think they're shitting themselves because they are guilty as sin. There's literally no way around this. This is the most clear-cut example of copyright infringement ever, right? For reference, if you're a streamer and you're playing music in the background quietly and it's not even the main thing, you're guilty of copyright infringement. So how much more when the music is the main content, right? And you're trying to steal that music from other people. The music industry will sue the living shit out of you and they'll win. So Ethan Klein does this, but Caseytron's reaction is priceless.
Listen,
she breaks.
And by the way, we're only covering this because it's funny. We just think like it's funny as fuck. Like we covered it last week because like, listen, this is going to have repercussions in terms of the reaction meta and all of that stuff that a lot of you guys consume as avid gaming content consumers, right? Yeah. And it's like the funniest shit is when Caseytron just goes up and is like, I never reacted to anything. What do you mean? I was so baked out of my mind. I don't remember any of this. I don't remember reacting to this. What do you mean?
That so is 100% her defense.
Your Honor, I was too high on drugs to be held accountable for whatever the fuck happened last night. I was streaming under the influence. This is none of my business. It's like, what the fuck? It's like you get in a car crash because you were high as fuck. And you're just like, sorry, I was too high. None of my business. Good luck with that. Bye. So like, what the fuck do you mean?
Well, I think legally she is trying to play off the I was not in my right state of mind.
I'm ignorant.
Right? Because legally,
I'm dumb.
Yeah. But the problem is that after she reacted high as a kite, she doubled down on all the reactions and stuff. There's like evidence on X of her posting about her reaction, remembering the reaction perfectly well the next day. So Caseytron has no leg to stand on, but she is trying to do the whole, Your Honor, I wasn't in a sane state of mind, so I can't be held responsible.
You want to know the funniest thing? The funniest thing about her and Frogan, I don't know if Denims did the same thing or not, but I've heard that at least her and Frogan did this. It's like, so Caseytron, you were too high to remember what you did last night. You sure as fuck didn't forget to delete the VOD now, did you? Which, by the way, now that you've been served legal papers, deleting the VOD basically constitutes deleting evidence.
Yep. Yeah, destroying evidence.
Uh-oh! Oh no! What did you do? Frogan also happened to do the exact same thing. It's like, oh
no! Yeah, like the worst thing you can do if you're ever in this situation, don't delete anything. Like you can take it private. That's another matter. Yeah. Right? You just don't want it out there anymore, but you have it private. You'll be able to hand it over. But if you're deleting VODs, it is evidence tampering. Right? You're getting rid of evidence. That is actually a felony, if I'm not mistaken.
It's a bit of a problem. It's a bit of an oopsie daisy. You know what that means? More generational wealth for Ethan's lawyers, baby. Let's go.
Dude. Ethan's going to make so much money off of this. But effectively, Caseytron has now broken out crying. There's like videos of her crying about this. She is devastated because I think she knows, right? This is not good. And it's not going to work out well for me. And you know what? As far as I'm concerned, it could not happen to a nicer person.
I can hear the music from, you know, that music that everybody uses in the memes and that it says Robert B. Wide at the end.
Oh, yeah? It's brilliant, dude. It's brilliant. And you
oh my God.
There's something beautiful about evil people getting their comeuppance, but seeing evil people get their shit kicked in is just nice. Speaking of evil people getting their shit kicked in, I'm going to read you a series of tweets.
Okay.
And I want you to know that all of these tweets happen within the span of 12 hours. Not months apart. We're not talking about weeks going by. Hours. Mere hours going by. So Wonderfilled is an RPG studio. They make paper sort of RPG, pen and paper RPGs. And they tweet out 22 hours ago, hatred is a big business these days in the USA. We don't subscribe to it or support those who do. I think we can all agree with that. That's a good stance to have, right? Then they go, and this is 18 hours ago, so 4 hours later, they go, in fact, we worked a lot with Larry Elmore, Steve Wants, and Jeff D to make the art for Giant Lands more representative and inclusive. The premise? What if in the future there were no white people? James Ward loved it too. Larry always tried to sneak in people of color into his DSR art, though he was often denied his attempts to make D&D less white. So we decolonized the RPG and made a future where the USA and white people don't exist. Now, I want to remind all of you, they're not for hatred. They're not about the racism game at all. They don't like it one bit. Then, of course, these people who hate hatred and are all for love and sort of coming together and playing video games, they have the following tweet, and this is 6 hours later. Not from the original tweet where they said that they don't like the hate game. They go, #TrumpZ losers, like this is what killed our business. So they admit that their business is dead. They live in some off-white fantasy of reality. We won't serve them or theirs. They are not welcome at our tables. They bought the books and didn't realize the premise is that they and their kind are finally gone from this earth. So help us God. This is all just in 6 hours, by the way.
So I have a couple of things to say. Number one, if you want to make a game where there's no white people and USA and whatnot do not exist, valid. That's fine.
Do you think?
You know, maybe you can even have a really good story about how, because, you know, whenever it comes to these types of things, usually they will want the white race. They're so destructive. It's like, maybe you can even have like a premise where we fucking offed each other. We fucking killed ourselves and our great, you know, efforts of conquering everything and everyone and all of the evilness that the white race has, and et cetera, et cetera. I'm talking about like modern white race, you know, people like me, shit like that, like, because we're all so evil and all of that, right? So if you want to do that, go right ahead. I think that's fine. I think that's a perfectly valid story premise, if that's what you want to do. Don't care. Now, but when you are tweeting out, crashing out like this nonstop, that tells me that maybe you're not doing it because you want to explore this amazing story, that this concept that you have for this story, for this game that you want to go do. Which, by the way, I completely believe that you should be free to do that concept if that's what you want. Do it. I wish you all the best, right? But the fact that dude is tweeting out like this, it says that he's not doing it because of like some it's like, oh, I have this really creative idea about how this happens. It's more like, I fucking don't like him. Fuck him. Let's erase him, et cetera, et cetera. It seems like more virtue signaling than anything else. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't fucking know. But either way, all the power to you. But there's another thing that I wanted to bring up, right? Bro's saying like, these people, if you support Trump, you're not welcome at our tables or whatever, all of this other bullshit. So let me tell you, I showed this at the beginning of the show, which this is also from a tabletop game. So as somebody who has been enjoying tabletop games, let me tell you something. In 2025, tabletop games is something that is extremely niche.
Yeah.
Okay. And I do mean fucking niche. Okay. And if you want to take your niche and then like and also we don't want to serve those people.
Yeah.
It's like, brother, you're a niche within a niche and you want to carve an extra layer on that? You want to exclude more people from it? I don't think that's a good business strategy, and I don't think you then get to blame people for your business failing.
Yeah, but that's all you just hit on the exact problem I have. Like, I don't have a problem. You want to make a game where white people aren't allowed, even though white people make up the vast majority of gamers in the Western world. And the problem with a lot of these pen and paper RPGs is they're very cultural, right? They're a Western.
Oh, you said in the Western world.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I was about to remind you of that article that said like something in the lines of, well, Stellar Blade sold 3 million copies, and you can thank China for that. And
yeah, no. I mean, Asia has a ton of people. The problem, of course, with Asia is that the West has a hard time breaking into the Asian market for the most part because cultures differ, right? Different cultures.
They have too much freedom.
Well, I would say not necessarily. What's interesting is I think so. This is an interesting topic that I've been wanting to explore a lot politics. More closely. No, it's actually nothing to do with politics.
Okay.
One of the things that sort of blew me away with Clear Obscure Expedition 33, and you've played it as well, right?
Yes, I haven't finished it, but I have played it.
Is there, you can so clearly tell who made the game. Like there's no denying it. As soon as you log into that game, you realize, wait, this is French. Everything about this game is French. It's sort of the same thing whenever you play a game from Korea or you play a game from Japan. It's so obvious that this is a game from Korea or Japan. The cultural significance is everywhere. Dude, but think about a lot of AAA games.
Before you keep going, listen, I have a really good one. I have to just put this one out there. This one comes from Josh Strife Hayes. Like somebody was criticizing part of his video on Expedition 33, something about it, about Josh making like some French joke or whatever.
Oh, yeah?
And Josh just replies, omelette du gommage. Like, damn!
I mean,
omelette du gommage is fucking diabolical, dude. What the fuck?
But it's cultural. Now think about a lot of other AAA games. Think about the Assassin's Creed games. Think about modern day AAA games. If I gave you Dragon Age the Veilguard to play, and I asked you, who do you think made this game? Like, which country do you think
I've already played it, Akalon. I'm good.
No, obviously, but imagine you've never played it, right? And all I'm asking you, I'm not asking you, do you think the game is good or bad? I'm just asking you, who made this game? Where was this game produced? Would you be able to tell me?
I would say in USA.
You'd think maybe USA, but would you be able to put money on it? Like, would you absolutely say, yep, this game was definitely made in the USA? Probably not, because culturally, you'd probably put money on it because it's the base, right? It's where most
I'd probably go as far as say even California, but I don't know if that's where their studio is based.
No, Dragon Age the Veilguard was made in Canada, right? Because
it was made in Canada?
Okay. Yes, BioWare is in Canada. But that's the point, right? The game has no cultural soul because our studios have become so amalgamated with nonsense. And it's all the fault. Like, I'm not suggesting that we should have, all white studios. That's not the point here. The point is, if you're going to have studios like Ubisoft, for example, in France, why do those games not play like games that came from France? Why is it that every Assassin's Creed that you make, regardless of where the studio is the same bland, boring bullshit? And then I compare it to olden day games like Mass Effect, for example. It is so clear that Mass Effect comes from North America. Like, you can tell there's a North American freedom, humanity first, badassery, right? That's the whole point and premise of it. And that's the thing that the West exports to the rest of the world, is this freedom, I'm doing my own thing, us against the world, humanity first kind of idea. You can tell the culture and the soul of who made the game. And that's something that I think modern AAA studios completely lost. It's basically just slop that fails to have any cultural relevance. And I think you need that, right? I think if you don't have cultural relevance within your game, the problem is we respond to cultures. I might not be French, but I can respond to the French culture, right? Because it's established. It's something unique within our world. The same way that I can respond to the Japanese culture when I play a Japanese game, or even to the Chinese culture. because there's something deeper within it. As a human being, I can understand the value of it. Whereas when you make a game like Relooted, for example, which is a game that's meant to celebrate Black people, but it focuses on nothing that would make Black people, sort of celebrating their culture, that's a failure. And we just see this so often. So my point I'm trying to make is, if you are Wonderfilled, right, and you're making a pen and paper RPG, it should first be noted that pen and paper RPGs is a very Western thing. It's not that large in Asia. It's not that large in China. It's a very Western sort of medium. So you already there have a fairly limited scope of who will actually play your game. And then you go, you know what? I don't care that around 80% of the Western world is white. I don't want them playing the game. I say, well, I wonder how that's going to play out for you. And then when your game fails, right, when you start losing money, blame the people that you didn't want playing the game in the first place.
I thought his thing was, we don't want specifically Trump supporters playing the game, not white people in general.
Well, remember, the game already examines the idea that no white people exist and America doesn't exist, right? So that already sort of tells white people everything they need to know, because that's the specific focus of the game. But then you go on to basically blame white people for stuff, because there's a bunch of tweets that I skipped over where they go, the most oppressed people in the world are Black women. That's why we stand up for this stuff. And Malcolm X was right. And, they're basically on this whole thing of just attacking white people everywhere. So you're already there. Then you, of course, go, it's just the Trumpsy people that we don't want playing our game, which I think is already sort of stupid, because at least half of the white people in the West probably aligned to some extent with the stuff that Trump would stand for.
Here's an interesting thing. I just feel like a lot of people in game development, considering that not even people that are fully dedicated to politics, I sometimes find that I listen to what they have to say and I'll be like, I don't know. Like we all usually talk about politicians and how dumb most politicians are, and these are people that dedicate their whole life to politics. If there are people that can dedicate their whole life to politics and still be fucking stupid assholes, like I would imagine that unless you can really just dedicate yourself wholeheartedly to studying politics and really just like understanding how it works, just coming out and going like, I'll make a video game. I'm a video game developer, blah, blah, blah. Here's what I think about all these political things. It's like, okay, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Did you study those, or did you just like, make up your opinion based on what you see on social media? This is why I don't talk about politics that much, because like I talk about fucking video games, bro. I play video games. That's my thing. Like, I don't think that I'm qualified to talk about politics. Why does everybody in this industry think that they need to be talking about politics?
No, I respect
which is what I would say. Which is what I would say about this person, Wonderfilled, whatever. Like, why? Like, listen, just make your video game where there's no white people. Not video game. Make your tabletop game. Yeah. Where there's no white people, and focus on making it a good game rather than entangling yourself in all of these fucking political issues. Just make the game. Just make the game, and people will decide if it's good or not, if they like the story premise or not. Just make your fucking game, okay?
I will.
That's it.
Just to finish my thought.
It's so weird.
Right. Just to finish my thought, because all of that everything I said just before, all of that doesn't matter to me. Right? You want to piss off half the white population in the West, go for it. Do your thing. But then
you don't get to blame people for your business fucking exploding.
Pisses me off, dude. Like, we've spoken about this so much.
It's your fucking fault. And it's like, you said you hated me and you wanted me to die, and then you made a game where I actually do die.
Yeah, well, I don't even
What
exist.
do you mean this is my fault?
But the thing is, it happens so often. Like, the whole AAA industry does this the whole time. Well, we don't want you playing our game. And then we don't play the game. And then they go, yeah, it's these evil, racist white people, white men, chuds and gamers that's destroying our games. And it's like, dude, you can't have it both ways. You can't tell us we can't play the game, but then blame us when the game fails.
Yeah.
Like, pick a lane and stick to it. You know, if you don't want to make money, sure, make your game and piss off half your audience, but then don't blame us when, you know, your game ultimately fails. Talking about blame shifting, have you know about the pirate software stuff, right?
Yes, I've heard about pirate software. I should also mention that, like, I feel like pirate software gets an inordinate amount of like backlash that I'm not exactly sure is proportional to the bullshit that he does, which he does do some weird bullshit. But it just feels like over the last couple of months, ever since the WoW situation happened, that like everybody is just looking for every reason to fucking hate this man. Now, I completely agree on the topic that we're going to be talking about, where he kind of like sabotaged the Cursed Farm Stop Killing Games initiative.
Yeah.
But good Lord, like the amount of hatred this man has been getting, I'm just like, Jesus fucking Christ. It feels a little bit out of proportion, but I don't know.
So initially, when the Stop Killing Games stuff happened, I actually found myself on pirate software side of things. And my reasoning wasn't as, I guess you could say, advanced as pirate software's. It was mainly just to go, look, the game had about 11 players at the moment of sunset. I don't know if a studio should be given, like, why should they spend any time developing a workaround for a game that has 11 players? You know, that makes no sense.
That was your initial take?
Yeah, like, I don't understand why companies should give a shit about this.
Oh, God. Yeah, see, this is why all you motherfuckers out there that are going like, oh, I'm so happy being all digital. Ooh, fuck physical gaming. Who cares? Because you motherfuckers don't respect anything.
It's
fuck
not
you,
about
dude.
being... dude.
Fuck you, Akalon.
Hold on.
No, fuck you, man.
Hold on. My initial take was very specifically...
Wait. I got to ask you something. This is important. Not entirely related to the topic. You changed your channel name. Should I still call you Akalon? Should I call you Stefan? What the fuck should I call you now?
No, you can call me Akalon.
But it's not what I can do. I'm asking you what you want me to do.
No, you can call me Akalon.
Would you rather I call you Akalon? No. What do you prefer? Not you can't. What do you prefer?
I don't care. Like, honestly, don't care.
No. I want you to tell me, what would you prefer? That I call you Akalon or Stefan? It's going to take me a while to get used to it, but I need to
call me Akalon.
doing...
Call me Akalon. I feel like most people
call you
understand the Akalon thing anyway, so it works better.
Okay, now go.
But okay, so from my perspective, I was very much limiting it to online only games, right? And my idea was, if you buy into an online only game, I already have a problem with online only games, right? I don't think games should be online only. I think all games should be online as well as offline. But if you buy into an online-only game, like World of Warcraft, for example, it stands to reason that at some point the game will just be sunset. And the game won't be sunset when it's doing super mega well, right? The game will be sunset when it's dead, when no one's playing it anymore, and there's no point for them to keep the servers or anything updated. People then said, well, no one's asking for servers to be kept maintained. They just want the code to be such that other people can run servers instead. My issue is that the original sort of host or the initial sort of thing that they're going to send through to the European Union made no mention of that. It simply wants game companies to be prohibited from killing games. And then people went, well, read the FAQ. I'm like, well, I don't give a shit about the FAQ. Because the FAQ is not important. I care about what you're going to give to the European Union. In other words, the core sort of petition, right?
I was, I remember reading something about that, and I don't think it said anything about like, oh, companies. It says companies should be expected to do there's a reasonable effort to maintain games after they're gone, which a reasonable effort is something as simple as, like, for instance, in the case of The Crew, you patch the game and then you give people like, hey, here's server. The same way that, for instance, when you bought Pal World, with Pal World, you get the client and the server. These are two separate things, and you can just like run the server locally, and then you can locally connect to the server. So this isn't even something that Ubisoft would have to go like, oh, I have to like patch this whole thing not to communicate to service. Like, no, just give people a fucking local server. Boom. Like, I guarantee you that like some random engineer at Ubisoft would work this shit out in like sub 2 hours.
Well,
in sub 2 hours, he'd just go like,
they're not that good anymore.
Boom.
They're not that good anymore, but used to, yeah.
No, but
back in the day.
No. They would still be able to do it because it's just how easy it is. If they were good, it'd be 30 minutes. But because they're trash, I say under 2 hours. Okay? I'm talking about even the trashiest of trashy engineers at Ubisoft could fix this in sub 2 hours, guaranteed. Guaranteed. Okay? No excuses. Sub 2 hours, bro, be like, here's an easy to use server locally. You can just like connect locally. Boom, done. Problem solved. No issues.
I know nothing about server code or anything, so I'm not going to be able to comment on that. I'm going to just trust.
It's 100% correct.
This, right?
Sub 2 hours.
Okay, 100%. Go
ahead, comment section. Roast me. Fucking try me. Okay. I have an IT degree, motherfucker. No, it's not.
I trust you on that. Right, I trust you that because I don't know a lot about server code. What I do know, and this was my main problem with this, it wasn't like I don't have a problem with the idea that games shouldn't be killed. That's fine. My main problem with it, and of course, context and nuance being the inescapable sort of realities that there are on the internet, was the vagueness of the language used in the petition. Because I don't trust politicians. If you're going to send a petition to the politicians to make choices about my games,
it's like
we need to be super specific about what we want and what we don't want. Because the last thing I want is for some politician to go, well, they want permanent servers forever and ever. And then game companies suddenly have to charge $300 a game because they basically, once they've built those servers must never be taken offline ever, right? And it's just like, okay, wait a second. We have to be super specific in the language. And then people sort of came back at me going, but they'll figure that out later. I'm like, no, they won't. They don't play video games. Like, I don't trust Ursula von whatever the hell her name is to make this decision on my behalf. She doesn't play video games. So if we're going to do petitions, let's be super specific about what it is we want, what it is we don't want, and how we want it. That doesn't mean that I agreed with everything Pirate Software, because Pirate Software is very much running defense for the gaming industry, making it seem like it's a lot harder to do. Right? Making it seem like it's almost impossible to do this stuff.
It's like the thing to me is like this is something that every company should be expected to do. Like even World of Warcraft, you should be I'm not even kidding. There should be a law that prohibits them from just like, hey, it's not profitable anymore. We're outie. Fuck all this. Bye. It's like, no, motherfucker. Like, you have any idea how long so many people have invested into these characters? Like, no, give people the ability to bring their characters onto private servers, and that's it. Like, you're not obligated to continue to support the game forever, but it's like when you sunset the game, you should be obligated to like, hey, here's how to operate a private server, and you can now do private servers, and here's how to get your character, which, by the way, they did give players the option to download their character data whenever World of Warcraft was taken away from NetEase, right? If you remember that?
Yeah.
Because of that, like, people were allowed to basically download their characters and whatnot. I don't think that they got like private server technology or anything like that, because it was just like, yeah, fuck all y'all.
Private
Here's your
servers
data,
is everywhere anyway, so it's not hard to get a private server WoW going.
Yeah, but it's like, it should be expected for the company themselves to handle that. Like, players shouldn't have to go out of their way to like, oh, I need to go find a fucking server now. Need to go figure out how to get this shit to work. Not to mention that even if you go to private servers, you're still not going to have your character. Characters, which, by the way, in the case of World of Warcraft, people have been playing for upwards of 2 decades at this point.
Yeah.
There's going to be people that have been playing those characters for over 2 decades. It's unreasonable to lose that.
No, I don't mind any of that, right? My only thing is I don't trust politicians. So I still stand on the one thing.
I get it.
Be specific. Be very specific about what it is we want, what it is we don't want, and how we want it. And anyone that in the comment section goes, dude, the politicians will figure it out with deliberations and debates. Get wrecked. They will not. And I don't trust them to get this shit right. So please.
The politicians will figure it out. Oh, they'll figure it out, all right. You want to know how politicians operate in the world, bro? Like, listen, saying something like the politicians will figure it out is such a 20-year-old thing to say, right? I mean, even though I don't think I was that naive at 20 years old, bro. I think I was like at 16, I already knew that politicians were fucking worthless. And
but you're lucky enough to be born into a country where you've seen the worst of what politicians do. Right, a lot of people are lucky to be born in countries where.
What do you mean seen? I see every fucking day, bro.
My apologies. See, but remember, a lot of people are lucky enough that they're born into countries where, even though their governments are retarded, their governments are just smart enough to not completely run it down. Right, so they're just smart enough to not completely.
They're giving you the MVP special, the minimum viable product of country government. That's what they're giving you, the MVP special.
And they go, well, I live in Norway. But look how brilliant life is, and it's like, yeah, it could be a million times better if your politicians weren't quite as retarded. But you're lucky that they're not fully retarded, right? You could have lived in England, for example.
Here's what I've learned about politicians. Here's what I've learned about politicians. And by the way, as much as I wish that this would become true and like, oh yeah, let's actually get this forward. Like, as somebody that does live in Europe, let me tell you how shit works around here. Okay. And it works the same around everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
The only thing politicians are going to do is whatever secures them the fucking bag. Now, you might, fool yourself into believing, no, I know this one politician who's like, he's really fucking, no, he's my guy. He's 100% of the side. Fantasies, bro. Fucking fantasies. Oh, yeah. Okay? These are some of the most corrupt people in the fucking world. Like, that one of the main people at the United Nations right now is actually a Portuguese guy, António Guterres. Okay? He was a corrupt fuck when he was here. He's 100% a corrupt fuck now that he's out there. Okay? Fuck that guy. All right?
There's this guy.
Not probably. Well, okay, let's say allegedly. I don't want to get sued.
I say probably because I don't know the guy,
please don't. Fuck. Like, get the fuck out.
It's for example.
Like, listen. Politicians will always do whatever they have to do to secure the bag. That is their only prerogative. So one of my concerns would actually be, what if this goes to Congress and then they get fucking lobbied by gaming companies and things actually get worse? That can happen.
People sort of look at, a lot of Europeans look at, for example, the European Union passing their law against Apple's sort of Thunderbolt bullshit, right? Forcing them to do USB-C. When you actually look into that, it's not that the European Union thought about the consumer. Apple just didn't lobby hard enough. Apple lost the lobbying battle against people like Samsung. It had nothing to do with consumers. It just so happens to work out for consumers, but that's just because Apple was a bit stingy and they didn't think the European Union would do it, right? So people just need to wake the hell up. There's a great guy. I love watching his videos. He's in the European Union. He's a member of the European Parliament. He makes all of these YouTube videos. I know who it is. Yeah.
He does. Yeah. I still don't know if that guy's doing it for the right reasons. Listen,
probably.
I've been so burned by every single politician that I've ever seen that has ever passed any law that affected me in any way.
I feel you, bro.
I've been so burned by all of these fucks. That's like, I have no trust whatsoever. These people will always do what is in their best interest. They give zero fucks about anybody else. That's just the way that it works. Yeah. Now, I wish the best for this initiative to stop killing games. I agree with everything that they're saying about, like, companies should absolutely provide players with a way to continue to play their video games after they sunset them.
Yeah.
But do I believe that this legal thing will actually get us anywhere? No. I don't think it will. I'm hoping it does, but
sorry, I just wanted to say the reason I brought up that, I think it's Phineas or something, right? His name or something like that. But the reason I bring him up is purely because he had this whole episode where he was talking to someone who works for an NGO that's trying to stop the sort of massive lobbying that's going on in the European Union. Dude, we're talking hundreds of billions of dollars spent on lobbying in the European Union.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it is insane the amount of money that goes through it. So anyone who thinks, oh, yes, this petition, this is why I said we need to be super specific about what we want. And people might say, but Akko, you're not European. This will absolutely affect me because I'm a gamer, right? Game companies aren't going to be like, well, okay, we'll make this sort of always on thing for the Europeans, but everyone else doesn't get it, right? Whatever changes is made in the European Union, because it's a large market, will affect everyone else. It's sort of the same with the US. If the US passes a law tomorrow that says that there can be no nudity in video games, do you think it's not like every game will be affected as a result of that? Right? Because that's just how it is. Game companies are just going to do that.
The thing that people need to realize from this discussion is that, like, look, real life is pay to win, bro.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. You need money in order to really make any sort of difference. And then it seems like only the corrupt makes a lot of money, which, works out super well for everyone else. Speaking of the corrupt, although I think a lot of people might get really upset with me for calling Square Enix corrupt, but I do think Square Enix is very hit and miss when it comes to, sometimes they do good work for some of their departments, but some of their departments are shit. But anyways, Clair Obscur, and this is not a big story, but Clair Obscur seems to have really ruffled some feathers over at Square Enix. And I think
this is
yeah.
I think the most interesting thing is that we're in such a status quo situation that whenever something comes out that kind of like challenges the status quo, it makes so many fucking waves because nobody wants to change the status quo. So it's the same thing with Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 comes out and people are like, no, wait a minute, we can't make this a new standard now. Whoa. What the fuck is going on? Clair Obscur comes out and everybody's like, hey, whoa, what the fuck is going on? This game wasn't made by 30 people. What the fuck do you mean? It's like, hey. It's like, and there's so many splashing waves whenever something challenges the status quo of the industry. I just find it amusing.
Oh, yeah. I think it's actually sickening to see how anti-change a lot of these AAA studios are. Like, they're just so anti-adaptation. It's actually sickening.
Don't fuck with the bag, bro. The bag is so good. Why are you fucking with the bag? Stop.
But I made a video about this yesterday, talking about Microsoft and Sony. The same sort of thing, right? Where all these articles are coming out about. Well, we're going to talk about Microsoft in a second, but effectively, it's the same concept, right? Just this inability or refusal to adapt. And they just want to stick to what they know. But Square Enix, for those of you that don't know, and the only reason I know about this is because I follow Sebywebs, and he has been, literally since Clair Obscur launched, he has been on Final Fantasy's ass like white on rice. He will not let this go. He is so upset about the fact that...
He's like a Klingon.
Yeah, like Square Enix. Because Square Enix didn't stop making turn-based games. They still make turn-based games, but specifically the Final Fantasy.
You have Octopath Traveler, Triangle Strategy, the Western one that I forget. There's like a bunch of games that they've kept publishing that are turn-based, but it's not real. It hasn't been Final Fantasy in a hot minute.
No, and that's the issue, right? Final Fantasy made and they said this. They actually admitted this. Turn-based is dead. So they won't do any more turn-based Final Fantasy games. And since then, they've sort of been desperately trying to figure out what Final Fantasy needs to become. 15 had all of its issues. 16 had a ton of issues. And Sebywebs even made this point. The big problem is that when you look at 15 and 16, their issues are completely unique. So it's not even that you can go, well, this is the thing that we need to fix, because they both suck for various different reasons. That makes it impossible.
I don't think they suck.
Well, not. I mean, the things that's bad are completely different, right? It's not that they don't suck. The games are still fun, but they have issues, and it's sort of one thing if you can go, oh, this is our issue, right? Because this is the issue in both games, but that's not the point. And then Rebirth also apparently has a bunch of issues. I wouldn't know. I don't play Final Fantasy games. I'm just talking out of Sabi Webb's mouth here. But effectively, it seems like Square Enix is now looking at Clear Obscure and going, maybe turn-based isn't dead. Maybe we can do turn-based video games once again.
You know what this reminds me of?
Yeah.
I remember that moment where Electronic Arts also clicked and said, maybe single-player games aren't that.
And then they released one game that finally didn't lose their money, Star Wars or Jedi Fallen Order. Was it Fallen Order or what, the first one?
Yeah, I think it was Fallen Order.
Fallen Order. Or if you guys remember, leading up to that, EA had a number of massive losses. And Andrew Wilson famously said, single players is dead. People want live service video games. And then, what is it? It's not Remedy. What's the guys who made it?
Who made what? I know exactly what you're talking about. Respawn,
yeah.
Respawn
makes this game and it crushes it, proving that actually single player games not so dead. Although now EA is running it back with saying, no, people want live service games, and Ubisoft has also said people want live service games. So we just keep going in the cycle of them just not figuring it out. But at least Square Enix have said, maybe there's something here. Personally, I would like to see them do the whole Final Fantasy VII remake, but this time with turn-based combat, very similar to the
What the fuck do you know? Like, stop it with the Final Fantasy VII glazing, bro.
No,
listen,
here's why I want it.
No, I'ma fucking say it, okay? I'ma fucking say it. Final Fantasy VIII is better than Final Fantasy VII. Fuck you. The
only reason I'm saying this is I saw so many posts from people who were very upset when Final Fantasy VII Remake came out because it removed the turn-based stuff, right? So it wasn't a remake in the spirit of what the original game was. It changed the spirit to something completely new. And for a lot of people, that was a bit of an issue.
Well,
so that's what I'm saying.
Let me also tell you, considering that you haven't played them, let me also tell you, in case you didn't know, it's actually more of a reboot because there's the whole meta thing that happens in that game.
Yeah.
So let's put it like this. Playing Final Fantasy VII Remake does not exclude you from playing Final Fantasy VII because they are different games. As a matter of fact, you can almost call the Final Fantasy VII Remake a sequel to the original Final Fantasy VII, in case you didn't know. So basically,
people say that.
The idea is you can play the game not having played Final Fantasy VII, but the events that take place in the remake and in Rebirth are different. And the people that did play the original will have a much different experience than people that didn't. It's like this whole fucking meta thing, which is actually quite interesting. Personally, I like it. I know that a lot of people don't. I think it's really fun. But yeah.
I haven't played it yet. It's on my list. It's definitely a game that I want to play at some point. But I have not played it yet. I will say, moving swiftly away from Clear Obscure, because we've spoken about Clear Obscure so much. Rukon, have you ever seen someone blow up their lifeboat and then run neck first into a noose? Have you ever seen that?
I mean, have you ever heard the expression cutting off your nose to spite your face?
Yes, I have. That's what we have here.
Yeah.
I'm actually speechless at this.
Akalon, I'm so mad. I'm going to smash my face into this fucking wall, okay? That's how fucking mad I am.
Drew.
Smash my face into this wall because fuck you, Akalon.
Guys.
It's kind of like the vibe.
You cannot make this shit up. Like, you cannot make this shit up.
Oh, God.
So Jason Schreier, right, tried his absolute best to run defense for BioWare and for the Dragon Age team. He even wrote an entire article, and I expect the book to come out any day now, where he basically blames all of the failures of the game on the executives, on the people who forced them to make a bad game. Of course, Jason
There's
Schreier
a decent
missed
chunk of blame there too. Don't get me wrong. There absolutely is.
Yeah, but he gave them a way out. So, but Brian J. Audit was not going to stand for that. He was not going to take the lifeboat on this one. No.
I just, you know those cartoons that you'd get like on your newspaper. I'm just imagining like somebody coming, like somebody's drowning. Not drowning, but like they're on a sinking ship, and somebody comes over and like gives them like a life thing, and he just like does the kicking animation, like fuck you.
I will not take this. So he goes reposting without comment, except that is literally reposting with comment though. He says reposting without comment, except, and then goes on to deliver a comment.
So wait, isn't this one of the writers?
Yeah. This is one of the writers not understanding the meaning of words. But anyway, so...
That explains so much!
So Brian...
It really does! Bro just goes like, I'm going to repost this without comment. Here's my comment. It's like, that doesn't mean what you think it means!
Yeah, exactly, right? But he goes, reposting without comment, except I refute that we made a bad or compromised game. We made the best version of what we released, warts and all. I'm damn proud of it and the team. We couldn't have made a better Dragon Age, only a different one. Okay? So from his perspective, this was the best that they could do. It was the best that they could do. And then Trick Weeks. So this just gives more evidence to me that Jason Schreier is a bloody liar. Remember, I've told you this before. I am starting to have serious doubts about the exposés of Jason Schreier in the past. Remember all of those, Blizzard is this and so evil, and he wrote an entire book about all the stuff that happened at Blizzard. Then the official investigation from the Californian government amasses to nothing. No one gets arrested. No real anything happens. The Blizzard is paying a fine, and the Californian government admits they could find no real wrongdoing at Blizzard. And I've told you before, I seriously have my doubts about Jason Schreier and his perceived sources within the gaming industry. Because Trick Weeks is one of the lead writers of the game. Comes out and says, I was so lucky to get the chance to work with you, man. Cannot wait to see what you make next. So Trick Weeks agrees with Brian that Jason Schreier's article is complete nonsense. They weren't forced by the executives to make this game. They weren't hoodwinked or compromised. They made this game in exactly the way that they wanted to make this game. And I can't help but go, well, someone's lying. Either these guys are lying or Jason Schreier is lying. But Jason Schreier did give these guys the perfect out. He gave them a way to wash their hands of the entire thing and basically go on to not look that guilty. Instead, these guys are going, no. Your Honor, not only did I do this,
that shit.
I had fun doing it, actually. Like, here's the video of me doing I took a video of myself stealing this shit. It's just like, wow, you were right there. So, yeah, this is where we are now. I think Jason Schreier, I think people should seriously start questioning Jason Schreier.
Like, listen, I just want to put it out there for fantasy game developers. Do you see what I have to do to play as a dwarf?
Yeah.
Like, do
make
you
the
see
man
what
a
I
dwarf
have to,
game, please.
I just like playing as dwarves, and now I'm forced into playing
Did you ever
games
play
like
Moria?
Veilguard.
Return to Moria.
No, I haven't.
Dude,
I bought it. I think I bought it. I'm pretty sure I own it. Let me see. Just out of curiosity, but I'm pretty sure I bought it like during a sale or something.
Yes, Return to Moria, I think it's called.
Turn to Moria. Wait, there's collectors. Why is there like no default version? There's only the collectors. Oh, here it is. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, I own it. I own the game.
Well, there you go. Right? Go play that if you want to play as a dwarf. It's shit, but you play Dragon Age the Veilguard.
That's the problem. You just said it's shit. But the thing is, with Dragon Age the Veilguard, the combat wasn't terrible because not only I got to play as a dwarf, I got to play as a dwarf that used his shield as the main weapon, which is fucking gorgeous. Like I was yeeting shields, destroying shit. It was great. I loved it. But yeah.
Okay, well,
you know, then there was the whole story aspect to it, which
And now what I would like to say that given all of the newest information, I would like everyone to stop giving EA's executive shit for the failures of Dragon Age developers. No.
I would just say give everyone equal shit.
I can't do that.
The executives deserve this shit as well. Why not?
I can't do that because literal first-hand accounts from developers have said that the executives had nothing to do with this. We made this game. This was our choice. I don't know. Like I have to believe the people who were there closest, right? Because it's between them and Jason Schreier, and I have serious doubts about Jason Schreier.
Fuck both of them is the way that I go about it.
There's plenty of reasons to hate the executives of EA.
You're all fucking bad.
There's plenty of reasons to hate the executives of EA. But according to the most recent information we have, the failures of Dragon Age, the Failguard, is not one of them. They made this gay game all on their own.
I just like think that it's hilarious that we can't get away with Dragon Age the Veilguard. It's like every episode.
I love it, bro. It's
I
like
swear
the gift
to God,
that keeps on giving.
You can go to every single episode of Mythic Banter and Veilguard is there. I promise you.
There's pretty much always a story about Dragon Age the Veilguard. Like the game didn't make a lot of money, but damn, is a lot of news about the game.
You know what I feel like whenever Veilguard comes up? I feel like I'm the guy sitting in the cuck chair and you're just like fucking Veilguard nonstop. And I'm just sitting there watching.
Having the time of my life going, oh, bro, if you were only in this. I'm having the time of my life just absolutely
I think
the
worst part is that all I get is the fucking sloppy second.
True. True.
Oh, God.
But I do have good news for you, Rukon. I have very good news for you because now we'll talk about a studio that we won't be talking about.
I don't think this is good news.
I think it's brilliant news. Personally, I love this.
Oh, God.
So you remember MindsEye? We spoke about it.
We spoke about it last week.
Yeah.
It's like the game came out last week, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. And it wasn't good.
I never even got to play it.
No, it wasn't good. It wasn't a good game. A lot of people had a lot of problems. In fact, one of my favorite videos of the entire game is Soda Poppin trying to log into the game during a sponsor stream. That's the funniest shit you'll ever see in your life. Because this man, you spoke about it last week as well. This man is trying to glaze this game because he's paid to glaze the game.
Are you talking about Soda Poppin or Coke Carnage?
Soda Poppin. Did you not see Soda Poppins?
No, I haven't seen Soda Poppins. What happened with Soda?
Okay, so the game crashes, right? While he's talking about how good the game is, the game crashes. And then he's trying to load back in, but the game just continues. It doesn't even get back in. It just continuously crashes. He's trying different saves, and it just continuously crashes. And he's eventually just starting to read the notes that they gave him to talk about. Like he's just reading the talking points of the game.
I remember Tyler One doing that at one point. Like he was reading off of the sponsored document, and suddenly he goes like. He says like this whole marketing spiel, and then he reads the part where it says, "Say this in your own words. Don't actually repeat what's said." And it's like reads through it, keeps going, doesn't give a fuck. I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
So the game was really bad, right? One of the reasons I love this, and to be fair, I hate the fact that we're still stuck without actual competition for the GTA space. Because I think competition can make GTA better. That part I hate. But the part I love about this is what I spoke about last week. These developers were so high on their own farts that before the game came out, they literally said that criticisms of the game is paid for by Rockstar. Like, it's not
paid
actual
opposition.
Real criticism. Yeah, so I'm glad that this happened, because now 1047, I believe that's the studio's name, they're in serious trouble. So they just announced massive layoffs at the studio. It's already not a big studio, so massive layoffs is not a good thing. And the founder and the co-founder of the studio will stop taking salaries as they desperately try and fix this broken mess of a game.
Hey, that's pretty noble that they stopped taking salaries. You know.
Well, what would have been noble is, before the game came out, listening to the criticism when people were telling you, well, this game looks a little bland and boring, and not just going, well, Rockstar is just paying people to disagree with our game.
I mean, the weird thing about MindsEye is that I haven't even heard about it before the Summer Game Fest thing. I had no idea this game was coming out. I had no idea what it was about. I had literally nothing. I'm just like, oh, what's this?
I
just remember watching that trailer, and I actually went back to watch what my reaction was to that trailer, and it was me just going like, what the fuck is this Zoomer editing bullshit? Because it was just going like, bam,
it was
you're talking like
bad.
half a second, less than half a second cuts, like 100 millisecond cuts. I'm like, bro, what the fuck? This is like some Zoomer editing, dude. Jesus.
I would say the biggest issue of the game is it's trying to be another GTA. Except it misses everything that makes GTA, right? It doesn't have it's sort of trying to be GTA, but taking a page out of Cyberpunk's book. It's like, wait, do you know what you think this game should be? Because it doesn't seem like you have a clue. And
this game's whatever I feel like it.
Yeah, and now your profits is whatever. Well, no one feels like it.
It's definitely not whatever you feel like it. Nope.
It's very, unless what you feel is that you don't have profits, in which case, congratulations, I guess you've done it. You know, if you wanted to make a game that absolutely failed, they say we learn from our failures. So congratulations, sir. This is a learning experience for you.
Fantastic learning opportunity.
Hopefully they can fix it, because everyone I've spoken to,
a bunch of people got fired.
Yeah, a bunch of people is getting fired and did get fired. But everyone I've spoken to does say that the game has a good framework. Like, there's definitely something there. The problem is just that what's there is so broken that you can't actually get to it. So I guess that's better than something like Dragon Age the Veilguard, where it's fine, it runs fine, it does what it needs to do, but what is there sucks. Right, and so there's not really, the only way to fix Dragon Age the Veilguard would be to remake the entire thing. Here, hopefully fixing some bugs, because they did say that new patches and stuff are coming. Hopefully fixing some bugs. Hopefully, updating the graphics and stuff to the point where it doesn't look like ass might just fix it. Let's hope. And I'm allowed to talk about Dragon Age the Veilguard now because we've already brought it up. I'm not reintroducing it to a new episode. Maybe next week we'll have an episode where Dragon Age the Veilguard isn't a thing.
I was just sitting in the corner.
Yeah, well, it's where you belong, you bitch, for playing Dragon Age the Veilguard.
Oh, God.
Speaking of people getting fired, see, it's the wrong people getting fired, actually, in my opinion. Like, you guys know, I would love nothing better than a camera being sort of live streaming all of the doors of all of the AAA studios on the day when hundreds of developers lose their jobs. I want to watch that. I'll co-stream that shit, right?
That is fucked up. That's fucked
I know.
up. I do not agree. I 100% do not agree. That's fucked up.
But I will co-stream it, though. The thing that I have a problem with is everyone's getting laid off, but it's the wrong people. Where are the Ubisoft employees losing their jobs? That's a nice thing to hear. But instead, we have Splitgate 2. Splitgate 2 is also having massive layoffs.
I mean, bro's sitting over there talking about how, like, oh, my fucking Call of Duty bad, which fucking based, yeah. And then he makes a fucking Call of Duty clone.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, Call of Duty bad, Fortnite bad, my game good. It's like, what the fuck do you mean, bro? Your game is Call of Duty and Fortnite. What?
I need to correct myself on something. I literally just remembered as I looked at the two topics. I mixed up the two topics. The founder and co-founder who isn't taking salaries anymore is the Splitgate people, not the MindsEye people. They're still taking money. They're just firing a bunch of employees. Does that make you feel better?
So the MindsEye people, not based.
No, not based. No. Splitgate people maybe a little bit more based. Maybe
more based because they're not taking salaries anymore. Okay.
So just a quick update and refresher for those of you that don't know the story, and we're sort of going to probably move through this story relatively quickly as well as the next one because there's more layoffs. But just a quick refresher here. Splitgate 2, the director wore a hat at the Games Fest, a hat that said, make FPS great again.
Make FPS great again.
Yeah. The media and all the lefties then had a meltdown because how dare you wear Trump's hat? Of course, they didn't say anything when Hideo Kojima was wearing the same hat saying, make TV great again. There apparently Hideo Kojima wasn't being a white supremacist. Yeah. There's photos of Hideo Kojima wearing the hat, make TV great again. But of course, that's not white supremacy. But this guy is absolutely a white supremacist because how dare he wear a hat, make FPS great again? Originally, he doesn't back down and he's like, well, I stand by my message. I believe that gaming should be, FPS should be made good again. And I think a lot of FPS fans can agree with this, right? FPS has become stale, very stagnant, and Microsoft, or at least Call of Duty, is effectively just reprinting the same game every single year. Like just every year is the same slop. And just more battle passes and Seth Rogen weed, marijuana-filled battle passes and shit. And now they have a Beavis and Butthead battle pass coming to the game, which is like, man.
Let me tell you something, okay?
Yeah.
That's exactly what a lot of people want. This is just a fact of life. So many people just want the same slop. Look at how successful FIFA is.
Yep.
It's fucking slop. Look at how successful Madden is.
Yeah.
It's fucking slop. Look at how successful Call of Duty is. It's fucking slop. And it's never going to change.
But I feel like people want it because they want the type of game, right? FIFA works because so many people love football. And so they will always go because they want the football. But if you could actually get a company to deliver a better product, that might actually kill FIFA or force them to be better, right? If they can deliver a better product. That's the whole point. There's no competition within the market. And with Call of Duty, I love the fact that he wore the hat. Of course, it worked. The game actually spiked to about 25k concurrents, which is the highest they've ever had concurrents. And then he made the mistake of apologizing.
I don't think that's why it's... I'm sure that a part of that is because he apologized, but I just think that the game wasn't that good to begin with.
So the reason the apology definitely has something to do with it. I'm not saying that's the whole reason because I do think the game also has its problems, right? But the reason the apology definitely, you can literally see the moment he apologizes and it's just down right back to where it was, right? Like all of it just goes away. And it kind of makes sense when you think about it logically. He was wearing this hat. A lot of the gamers, the chuds, were going, based, let's go, right? Because whenever the media is angry at someone for being based, the based gamers want to play the game, right? And so they started logging in. They were probably not going to stick around because the game does have serious issues. But then he apologizes. And now the based gamers are going, dude, we had your back, fam.
Apologies actually not based.
Yeah, the apology isn't based. And the reason there's nothing wrong with apologizing. I want to be super clear about that. You should apologize when you're wrong. But in this case, you're being accused of something that is retarded. You're wearing a hat based on a very popular slogan. Like, everyone has done this. Super progressives wear hats like this.
I remember at one point there was a random guy saying that this
white
was
supremacy.
Like
this was a
some
sign of
white supremacy. It's like
just people being bored making up bullshit, right?
And the best part is that was actually like a 4chan psyop or some bullshit, and they were so successful. They're this random esports commenter. Here's why this is actually really bad. I looked into it, guys. Trust me. It's like, you fucking dumb motherfucker. What is wrong with you? Jesus Christ, bro.
It is what it is. But fundamentally, the mainstay is they're letting go of a number of people at their studio. We don't know how many. This is sort of up in the air. But again, it's sad to see companies that should be providing competition within the market.
Wait, aren't you going to co-stream? Come on, Ekelon, it's time to co-stream.
Yeah,
what the fuck do you mean?
I want to co-stream when EA and Ubisoft and Blizzard and Microsoft, like when they televise all of their people getting fired.
No, it's time to co-stream, bro. Let's go.
And maybe CD Projekt Red after the failures of Witcher 4. I'll probably make a stream about that and laugh at all the developers there walking out with their pink and purple hair.
It's never cool to see people lose their job, bro. Fuck that shit.
I don't agree. Because if you're a terrible person and you make terrible decisions and you destroy games, you don't deserve to work there, right? So, for example,
the Bible say give the other cheek or something like that?
Well, here's the thing, right? I don't wish for these people to die, right? I'm not wishing death upon these people. I'm simply saying,
but you are wishing ill upon them.
So let me put it this way: if you're saying that it's never cool to see people lose their jobs, imagine there's an engineer, right? Every single bridge this guy builds collapses within seconds. Would it not be cool for him to lose his job?
No.
Why not?
Suck.
Well, he's not good. He builds bridges that break and kill people.
I want you to understand the difference, okay? I want that guy fired, but I'm not celebrating the fact that he was fired. I want him fired because he's incompetent.
Yeah, but I'm not
going to celebrate the fact that he's going to lose his means of supporting himself.
Okay, but so do you not support, you spoke about how corrupt and evil your politicians are, right? So when a corrupt and evil politician gets voted out of office, do you not celebrate that? Because technically they did just lose their work, right? They just lost their job.
There's a very different thing there.
No, how is it different?
Very different. Because the politician is doing it on purpose and the engineer, unless you're going to tell me that it was a malicious engineer that was purposefully destroying these bridges, or is he an incompetent engineer? From the story that you were saying, it seemed to me like he was an incompetent person. Whereas the politicians are very competent individuals. Well, they're just fucking scumbags.
Well, let's examine this. Brian J. Audit said, reposting without comment, except I refute that we made a bad or compromised game. We made the best version of what we released, warts and all. I'm damn proud of it and the team. We couldn't have made a better Dragon Age, only a different one. So it was very much on purpose. It was maliciously fueled. So should I not celebrate Brian losing his job?
Incompetent. He's just incompetent.
No. Everything they did there was on purpose. Even when they were warned, hey, don't do this. They were like, no, you white people shut the hell up. We're making this. And we don't care what you have to say. So 100% malicious. 100% on purpose. I can celebrate their job losses because I think people like this don't deserve to work in the gaming industry. It doesn't mean that I don't want to see them go work in banking.
Okay, now what about
go to banking?
Wait. Now what about this guy is one of the lead writers? Okay, what about the other writers that were forced to work under him?
Well, it depends on how much do you know about those being forced or not.
Exactly. You're going to be celebrating all of their firings regardless if they were forced to work there. And I was like, fucking based, fuck them.
Each of them have social media. If they want to come out and say, I want them from the beginning, this is bullshit, they didn't want to listen to me, I go like, bro, I'm sad that you lost your job.
Not everybody has social media. Come on.
Dude, everyone has access to it. It's free. Like, you don't need money in order to sign up to eggs. You could literally be like, I was one of the writers on Dragon Age the Veilguard. I told them from the beginning this Tash bullshit isn't going to fly.
And who the fuck is going to believe them?
They could show us. Like, I'm just saying, there's no point in arguing about, well, maybe there's some developers that don't deserve to lose their jobs and some developers that do. You were part of this project. You were happy to get paid for this project. You never spoke out. You never spoke up. You're going down with the ship. And I don't feel sorry for you because this is what you made. You took a franchise that was really good and you destroyed it.
I just don't think it's fair, the comparison term that you're pulling off of like a corrupt politician who made fat stacks nonstop all the fucking time. And you're trying to compare that to a fucking developer of a video game who lost his job.
I think principally
these are two very different things.
I think they're very different things in reality.
I disagree.
in reality, they're very different things,
Yes.
but principally, they're exactly the same thing.
No,
Because
I don't
they're
agree.
both losing their jobs for valid reasons, and that must be celebrated. You're a corrupt asshole. You don't belong there. You're absolutely terrible at your job, and you destroy entire franchises. You don't belong to work in the gaming industry. Go work somewhere else, somewhere that you can't destroy, like banking, or become a politician. They destroy things on purpose. If that's what you want to do. But in this instance, just to get back to the Splitgate 2 layoffs, I do feel sorry for these developers, right? Because they're effectively losing their jobs, most likely not for decisions they made. Because this CEO doesn't seem like the kind of guy that really understands what he wants to do. If you wore that hat and you believed in the message you were pushing, you would not have apologized because you understood, look, this is what I believe. I believe FPS should be made great. The fact that he apologized suggests to me that he probably didn't really have a vision of what he wanted this game to be. And he was genuinely just thinking, hey, this could be a good marketing opportunity for us. Which, yeah, I don't have time for that. If you want to be edgy really. Don't just be edgy because you're, sort of
Quadruple down.
Yeah, like double
No, I
down,
don't
quadruple
know
down,
about
run
all
this
that.
ship. Like if the ship's going down, go down with it. But anyways, so that's what happened there. Sticking to layoffs because why not? Xbox.
More layoffs. Oh no.
Yeah.
Fucking Xbox fucking it up again. This is their fourth time,
Mhm.
their fourth round of layoffs in recent times. So,
Yeah.
good job, Microsoft.
And this one's massive. So according to the sources, speaking to IGN,
Oh yeah, this one hasn't been officially confirmed. right?
no. The managers expect.
Yeah.
So they saw the email saying that they have to brace for impact, but they have not gotten the official numbers yet. But according to the managers, they said usually layoffs don't get announced in this way. So when this happens, it means
It's gonna be nuclear. Yeah,
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me. See, the funny thing is, it seems like a lot of this is brought on because of the Activision purchase.
yeah.
That seems to be what is happening. They spent so much money on Activision Blizzard,
Mhm.
and now it's like, well, Activision Blizzard's making us all this money. What are you guys contributing? Oh, not as much. Okay, bye.
I think
Sucks to be you,
yes.
bro.
I think yes, but I think there's probably a little bit more to it. I think everything you just said is absolutely spot on. With an added year, it's not been a good few years for Microsoft. I made this video yesterday, and if you go through just their most recent games, and I'm not even including South of Midnight here, right? It's all bombed. Like every single one of their games bombed. It's not a good time. So just going through the list here, you have, for example, Diablo 4. It's currently stuck at about 3,000 people playing it. Starfield, less than 1,000, 2,000, 1,900 people playing it. Towerborn, a game that no one even knew was coming out. It had an all-time peak of 1,300 people, 49 people currently playing it.
I mean,
151
Towerborn
people
is
in
a
Avowed.
it's a very niche game.
Yeah.
Towerborn. So I wouldn't expect massive numbers on that one.
No, that's perfectly fine, but it does sort of play into all of the failed games currently. Avowed at 151. Call of Duty is suffering at the moment. Like if you go from
Oh no.
yeah, like Call of Duty is at an 24-hour peak of about 66,000 people, and right now the players is about 27,000 people. That's a far cry from earlier, like late last year, where they were sort of at 250, but they've not been able to even once get back to the last peak of 491,000. So even with all of their sort of patches and all of the stuff that they're releasing, Call of Duty isn't able to get back to their previous peaks. So clearly Microsoft is spending a lot of money making video games, but they're not getting anything back. Like the flow of money back into the company is sort of slow at the moment. And I think that's also part of why massive layoffs are coming. And I hate to say this, but I think Claire Obscure may have something to do with it as well. Because Claire Obscure did prove that you don't need a lot of developers to make a good game. You just need a number of really talented developers and you can make good games. And Microsoft is one of the most overemployed companies in the world. So I wouldn't be surprised if at least part of this is Xbox going, hey, we probably don't need massive teams working on shit like South of Midnight. We could probably just have like 15 developers working on something like South of Midnight, and still make it hopefully a really good game. Yeah, I'm not even going to get into the political side of things because that's a whole different discussion. But if Microsoft is one of two companies that basically said, we don't care, we're going to continue with the DEI stuff, we're going to continue with the wokeness, we'll still hire based on diversity, equity, and inclusion, not based on merit. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe this is a turning point for Microsoft. The interesting thing, and this is something that we probably should talk about, Microsoft still posts massive profits. So it's not like they're going bankrupt, right? It's not like they're losing money.
I mean, yeah, because Microsoft has fucking Game Pass, and Game Pass is like one of the hottest commodities in gaming right now. For the moment, even though people are, I feel, wearing a little bit thin on the whole play video games as Netflix approach. I know that I definitely never subscribed to that, and it's interesting seeing more people come around to that viewpoint at this moment.
I will say, though, I asked Grok to just do a quick evaluation of how much Microsoft makes conservatively on Microsoft Game Pass. It's between $6.1 and $7.7 billion a year.
That seems pretty profitable to me.
That is insane. That is a lot of money. So, Xbox Game Pass is still pumping out them numbers. Talking now, or shifting gears a little, to Death Stranding 2.
Okay. Death Stranding 2, I have a big problem with Death Stranding 2.
Please elaborate.
Did you, and it's like, this is something that frustrates me a lot because it's something that I really thought that the gaming community would eventually rally against. And I've seen it go the exact other way, where the gaming community actually started defending this practice, which to me really, really annoys the fuck out of me. And that is the practice of early access.
Yes, I hate
they did that. Access. They did that with Death Stranding 2. Did you even know? Because like I haven't even heard. I heard literally nobody talk about this until I was researching topics for the podcast today, because I figured, we're probably going to be talking about Death Stranding 2. That's receiving glowing reviews from all of the outlets and all of this stuff. Yeah. And one of the things that I became aware, because I remember Googling when it was coming out, because I was thinking, do I want to stream it on release? Do I not want to stream it on release? I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. And I remember, it releases on the 26th. That's fine. So I'm like, I'm not overly concerned about it. I reach out to people at PlayStation. I'm like, hey, do you guys have codes? Like, what's the deal with that? They're like, codes are going to go out when the game comes out. And I was like, okay, whatever. And so suddenly I start seeing Let's Play episodes go up. I was like, this is the 23rd. Yeah. On the 23rd, I'm seeing episodes go up, and I'm like, wait, I thought the game came out on the 26th. Fuck is going on? And that's when I realized, this game actually has like the early access shit, which is if you bought the premium version of the game for like €90 or whatever, you get 48 hours of early access to the game. The reason why I dislike this, by the way, is I feel like it divides the community between the haves and the have-nots, which is like, one of the things that gaming has always done is it's been a little bit of an equalizer. At least when I was growing up, I've always looked at it as kind of like an equalizer, where it doesn't matter so long as you can afford the basic version of the video game and you have the hardware to run it. It doesn't matter if you're like a rich person, if you're a poor person, if you're somebody who can do sports, somebody who can't do sports, if you're like, basically, there's all of these things that divide us in life. And gaming always provided like this kind of like fair arena where everybody gets a shot. And just seeing that eroded in this early access stuff, something that I've always spoken against.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed is that over the years, as I continue to speak against this, portions of the community are lashing back against me. And I'm just like, how is this even a thing? Like, how are people even defending this practice nowadays? It's just, and to the point where, like, you didn't even know that this was happening for this. It's just not even mentioned anymore. It's just been so normalized.
Yep.
Nobody even talks about it anymore. And if you do bring it up, people are like, oh, this is perfectly fine. It's not an issue. Shut the fuck up. Dirty poor. And it's like, damn. It's weird, bro. It's just fucking weird to me. And for all intents and purposes, game amazing is all I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Cool. Still don't like that practice of the early access bullshit.
I agree with everything about the early access stuff. You know, we've had conversations about early access before. I find it abhorrent because it isn't early access. It's late access. People need to get this bullshit out of their minds. If a game is playable on a certain date, that's the release date. That's the date that it released. It's just late access for everyone that doesn't want to pay extra for the game, which to me is just nonsense. But if you thought that the game was amazing, it's because you didn't read GameSpot's review. Now, everyone gave this game a 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10. Some people even gave it a 10 out of 10, which we've had this conversation before. I don't think you can ever give a game a 10 out of 10 because 10 out of 10 would mean perfect, right? So there's literally nothing you will fix on this game, which is wild. I don't know if I've ever played a game that's a 10 out of 10. But anyways, GameSpot comes out and they give it a 7 out of 10. Now you might say, but wait, 7 out of 10 isn't that bad. It just means sort of above average. You know, it's good. It's not the best game they've ever played, but it's
not
good.
Actually. It doesn't mean above average in the actual scale that is used, which I've always found interesting. The actual scale that is used by mainstream websites is like 7 is average, which is interesting if you really think about it. In that scale, 7 is average. They do that defense that it's like, well, 7 is above average. It's like, no, you know that 7, that's not what it means according to the scale that you guys use in mainstream media.
I don't think it's just their scale. I think it's in the mind of people as well. Like, a 5
7
is bad.
Is like average.
Right? If a game gets a 5, that's bad. I know, I do it myself. When I see a movie, and there are actual movies on IMDb that I have watched that I absolutely enjoyed, that was like a 5.1 out of 10. But normally when you see 5.1 or 5, you think, that's going to be
not
bad.
Good.
When in reality, 5 out of 10 is average, right? That's middle of the road, nothing great, nothing bad, it's just average. But in the minds of people, 5 is bad, 7 is average. So I can actually understand the rating. So they give it an average rating. But it's not the number that bothers me as much. What bothers me is the why. See, if you don't like a game for whatever reason, so I'm going to be honest with you guys. If it's up to me, right, and we talk about Monster Hunter Wilds, I played it a little bit during the open beta, I would probably give something like Monster Hunter Wilds a 7 or an 8, right? In my scale, which 7 would be above average, it's a fun game, but it's not my type of game, right? Rurikon would obviously not agree with that rating at all. But the reason I would give it that rating is because it's not my type of game. And if that's your thing, go for it. Although, if I'm a media outlet, I can't really hide behind that because that's why they have multiple different people writing articles. Because not all games are for everyone. So the guy who wrote this article was chosen because he did like, and he admits it, he loved Death Stranding 1. Going through the whole article, he basically praises everything in the article. Right, everything in the game. He says this is really good. Then he gets to his first real criticism, and he goes, "The technology of the first one took hours to unlock, whereas in the second one, within the first 2 hours, you have all of the technology unlocked, and that's really bad." And I'm like,
I don't think that actually sounds like a good idea, so that you don't have to build worthless shit like you had to in the first one. In the first one, the fact that the technology was held back from you meant that a lot of the times you were working on substandard solutions that you would then be like, oh, I wasted all of these materials building this thing.
Yeah.
And now with the thing that I've unlocked, it's so much better.
Yeah.
And I can't like even get those materials back. Like those are just fucking used. Like that. Yeah. You know, so I actually see them unlocking stuff faster as a good thing, personally, as somebody that played the first one, but I could be wrong because I haven't played this one yet, so I don't know.
The thing is, it makes sense from a realistic perspective, because if you already had this technology, what possible reason would there be for you not to have this technology, right? You have
in the first game?
You may as well. Yeah, when you finish the first one, you have everything unlocked. What if you log into the second one and suddenly they go, well, actually, you're going to spend 20 hours again running on your feet, not being able to carry shit? You would probably.
It's the old, it's the old Metroid thing. At the beginning of every Metroid game, like you have an encounter where you just lose all of your powers, and then it's you know,
and a lot of games
you have to
do
progress through the whole game to recover them again.
A lot of games do that, right? A lot of games do absolutely let you lose your stuff. But this is Hideo Kojima. He's always been weird and different, because this time around there's a lot more guns and stuff to unlock, a lot more fighting that happens, you know, so the game is a bit more action oriented this time around, which it's a sequel. So obviously you're not really going to be finding out where the beach comes from, because a lot of that is answered in the first one. Now you're going to be actually fighting in this new world, which, you know, again, so that's his first complaint. Then he gets to the actual reason why he hates the game. The portrayal of women. He has a serious problem with how they portray women in the game, because there's a photography mini game with 3 women who like to take selfies or pictures of themselves, which anyone who knows women anywhere ever, that's just, women love selfies. Like, bro, the selfie camera was mainly designed for women.
Not all of them. Women are like, you know, everybody else.
Yeah, but
it's
the
like
problem is
some women like selfies, some don't. Some men like selfies, some don't.
Would you say, so when we're talking about generalities, we are talking about generalities because it's the majority. And majority of women prefer to take or like selfies. This is known. Like, this is marketing.
I don't agree.
Well, you can't say you don't agree. Like, I believe I saw an actual thing where Apple said women.
Let's put it like this. Let's put it like this.
Way more selfies than male.
Okay, listen.
Yeah.
Let's put it like this.
Mm-hmm.
My life experience, due to at which point in my life selfies became popular.
Yeah.
Okay, which was later in my life than for younger people, obviously. For a lot of people, they've existed this whole time where selfies have been super popular. Not the case for me. And maybe because of that, a lot of the women that I interact with on the daily, they're not like the biggest, oh, let me take a selfie, let me film my food.
They didn't grow up with it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't grow up with it. So I guess my life experience might be betraying me. That's all I'm saying.
Your life experience is fine. I'm not going off of life experience or lived experience. I'm going off of actual studies. So you have a study from...
I could be wrong. I could be wrong is what I'm
fine.
saying.
Let me just share this because people in chat might also care about this. Jonathan Haidt, a psychologist from the US, they did a study on this where they basically went into a school and they gave the students their cell phones. And they observed what the students do with their cell phones. The boys immediately started downloading video games and started playing video games against one another, basically competing. And this is how they sort of established hierarchies. The girls started taking selfies and uploading it to Instagram. And they marked a very clear increase in depression as a result of this, because that's just what women do.
You mean the girls started getting depressed?
Well, their findings ultimately did prove that social media and smartphones is causing severe depression in young women because they like to take selfies and upload it to social media.
Let me tell you something, okay? Listen, here's what you got to do, young women out there. Rather than taking pictures of yourselves and uploading them online, you're going to paint some bulbous terrain, and then you take pictures of that and you post that online. And it's like every time you post one of these, people go, "Oh, that looks really fucking good, dude."
Yeah.
It's like, you know, so there you go.
So the thing...
I solved the problem, Akalon. I solved it.
The point I'm trying to make here is, of course, you'll have some women who don't care about selfies and don't take a lot of pictures. I have friends who do this exactly. But on average, you know, it's not
Yeah, I get you.
It's not a wrong trope that women take way more pictures than men. Right?
Okay, I believe you. I accept that. Yeah.
This is his problem. He hates this. The other one is there's this one woman who continuously take off her shoes, and all of the other NPCs remark how as soon as she walks into a room, she takes off her shoes. And this is also a trope about women apparently liking to take off their shoes. To which, again, here I will just speak about my own lived experience. I don't think I've ever known a single girl that has come to visit my house that doesn't within 10 minutes remove her shoes so that she can sit on the couch and put her feet on the couch or whatever, right?
Because and not only that, but because society has kind of like forced women to wear the most uncomfortable shoes imaginable, like those fucking high heels bullshit.
I would say they
those
force themselves to wear
hurt.
that. I don't think it's society that forces
whatever.
them, but you know, whatever.
Whatever the fuck, dude. Yeah.
That's literally, you go through his entire article. Those are the things that he dings it for. They're tropes about women. And according to him, it's misogynistic tropes about women. And therefore, the game loses 3 points.
You want to talk about misogynistic tropes? Okay, listen, here's what I have to say to this person who wrote this article, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That was a movie that I think it was around the 90s. This is a Quentin Tarantino movie. It's called From Dawn Till Dusk.
Oh, what a
Is
movie.
it From Dawn Till Dusk?
Yeah, From Dawn Till Dusk.
I think it's From
one.
Dawn Till Dusk. Yeah, the vampire one.
Yeah.
And so in that movie, Quentin Tarantino wrote a scene where Selma Hayek is pouring, I forget if it's champagne or vodka, down her legs through her feet. Okay. And then he wrote and then he casted himself into that fucking scene to drink the stuff from Selma Hayek's feet. Yep. All right. And that's based as fuck.
Yeah. Like that. He just did that. But of course, we live in a new era where,
what a fucking Chad, bro.
Yeah.
That movie's awesome, by the way. That
it is a brilliant movie.
Awesome.
But hey, the man looked at Salma Hayek. He was like, she's hot as hell. I want her toes in my mouth. And he was like, I want to drink
some wine. It was like, fuck
it. I'm sure she could have said no. And although Quentin Tarantino is known as a bit of a hard ass in those situations. But ultimately, it's the problem with why he dinged the game 3 points that I have an issue with. Like, you want to give a game a 7 out of 10 because you genuinely believe that's all the game is worth? Go for it, right? I'm not going to have a problem. But then at least have a reason for it, right? Back up that shit with actual gameplay reasons for why you think this game is terrible. In this case, the guy literally just inserted his own politics, and he wants progressive storylines. He doesn't want whatever Hideo Kojima is offering. And so the game gets dinged 3 points down to 7 out of 10. It's not the biggest story necessarily, but it just once again proves how absolutely brain dead some of these journalists are in the games.
You know what it proves? It proves to me what I've always said. It's like, listen, reviews are as important. I mean, not as important. The most important thing about a review is knowing who wrote it. That's like the most important thing, so that you know, okay, what are these person's tastes like, so that you can actually get relevant information. So here's an interesting thing. For some people, this review is going to be important. Why? For people that have that same issue, that they just have this progressive ideology where it's like, well, I don't want to play a video game where women can potentially be even in the least bit objectified, despite the fact that every single character in a video game is going to be objectified regardless of gender, regardless of race, regardless of ethnicity. It's just the way that it goes. Just like, for instance, whenever you watch a movie, all of the characters in that movie are being objectified in one way or the other. This is why every single one of them is wearing makeup, enough makeup to to frost a cake.
Yeah.
Okay. Most of these actors are going to be wearing it. So everybody gets objectified. But specifically for the people that have an issue with maybe a little bit of skin showing, maybe a little bit of a foot showing up or whatever it is, then they can read this review and they know who the author is, and they're like, okay, this person aligns with me politically, therefore this review is valuable for me politically. And everybody else that doesn't, they can look at their review and go, oh, it's the guy who doesn't like when women show skin in video games. I don't need to watch this review. And that's what I'm saying. The most important thing about a review is knowing who is the person writing the review, and knowing about the person writing the review. review.
Yeah.
So that way you can choose whether or not that review is for you. And that's pretty much the way that it goes. If this person wants to ding the game for whatever the fuck reason, I think it's dumb, but that's just because I'm not going to agree with them. So it's whatever. I think that people give way too much value to reviews to begin with. So I don't.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. It's stupid to ding the game over like, oh, this woman took off her shoes. It's like, oh no.
Yeah. No, I that's really my only problem with it. Like, as I said, give whatever rating you want, but damn, just give a good reason for why you're downvoting something, not just, oh, it happens to not align with my bullshit worldview, which is just super, super annoying. We're going to be disagreeing with a lot of people's worldviews now, because we're going to be talking about AI in video games. Rokon, are you ready to cross the landmine? Like, we could literally kill this channel here and now. Like, that's
Why?
how.
Because we're talking about AI. Jesus Christ, that's vicious. So I guess we'd start with the Masahiro Sakurai.
Yeah.
So Masahiro Sakurai is saying that currently video game develop has become too time consuming and unsustainable. Now, he does offer a solution. This was in an interview with Yahoo Japan, and the solution is going to be the part that's more controversial. But before we even get to that, I agree with the fact that game development has become too time consuming and unsustainable. But at the same time, I would like to posit that the reason why it's become too time consuming and unsustainable is for the wrong reasons, because too many people are focusing on, we need to make everything open world, everything needs to have 8K textures. We need to make the horse bollocks shrink. We need to make the horse muscles. We talk about this every single time. And this is something that a lot of AAA studios are focusing on, is like this excessive amount of detail that in reality doesn't really need to exist as far as I'm concerned. So that would be the number one thing that I would comment on, it being too time consuming and unsustainable. And before we move forward, would you like to comment on that?
I think it's literally the thing that we've been speaking about, right, this entire time. AI is coming, and if it can allow fewer developers to make better games by doing a lot of the brain dead work that would otherwise have to go to like junior artists, for example, I don't see that as necessarily a bad thing. So yeah, I don't know. Like, you can continue with that, because
I hadn't gotten to the AI part yet. I wanted you to comment on games development being too time consuming and unsustainable.
Well, I agree, right? I definitely agree, because we have games that's now going on 4 or 5 year development cycles already. Some games that I know that's been 6-7 years in development, right? And you just sort of go, wait, this is now, granted, a lot of the games that are that long tend to be games that's broken, right? So they have all sorts of broken stuff that's going on within the game. But even if we were to say a 4-year development cycle, I think 4 years is too long. And the reason for it is, a game, in order to make a game, you have to guess the cycle of the culture at the moment that your game is going to come out, right? So that your game actually rides the high. That's sort of it's something that you have to be able to do, especially when you're not working. So it's sort of different when you do franchise stuff. So Monster Hunter, for example, Monster Hunter has a loyal fan base, and therefore, if it brings out the next Monster Hunter, it's gonna have that loyal fan base that plays it. But if you're a company trying to make a video game that isn't part of such a franchise, you have to sort of guess. Okay, a great example of this is when Blizzard sort of went way too late in the game and said, "Hey guys, we're making a survival game." And so, yeah, you guys know that survival games sort of died out like 3 years ago, right? No one's caring about survival. You're gonna have to wait a decade before we get back to survival games. Everyone's on the battle royale train now. At least that was then. I don't know what train we're on right now, but we're probably on another train. The point is, you have to sort of guess this. If it takes you 4 years to make a game, almost guaranteed, by the time your game comes out, it's not going to hit the audience that you think it's going to hit. And I think a great example of that is Assassin's Creed Shadows. Assassin's Creed Shadows starts its development during the height of the race riots in America, the world going super woke. And so it goes in on these storylines that at the time at least would have been seen as good, more representation, more inclusion. Since then, the culture shifts dramatically away from that kind of stuff. And whether you agree with this or not, there are a bunch of gamers that actively didn't play the game because of Yasuke. Like, just straight up. Whether you want to think that's racist, I don't care. But remember, if you're making a game, you're trying to make money, right? You're trying to make as much money as possible so that you can make more games, hopefully. So when you have a bunch of gamers that goes, no, I don't care about your representation bullshit, I will not play this, that's a bad move, which you couldn't have known when you started the game 5 years earlier, because 5 years earlier, like, I guarantee you now, if Assassin's Creed Shadows came out in 2021 or 2022, it probably does better. It probably does way better, because at that time, you still have a little bit of guilt. People still sort of feel like, oh, yeah, maybe we do need a little bit more representation. Who knows? 2025, bad time. A bad time all around for games like that, which, again, they could not have known when they started working on the game. So to answer your question, yes, I think game development is way too slow.
Too time-consuming and unsustainable.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the way that Masahiro Sakurai proposes, and this is translated, so take it with a grain of salt, because we all know how translations work sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But he goes and he says, to be honest, it's hard to see what the future holds. I think we've reached the point where creating large-scale games like we do now is too time-consuming and unsustainable. He says developers must adapt a new way of thinking. I believe we are at a stage where we must change our methods, such as by using generative AI to improve work efficiency. It seems that only companies that can adapt well to these changes will survive in the coming era. Now, it is important to mention what he specifically says, which is generative AI to improve work efficiency. He's not talking about using generative AI to create art assets. He says improve work efficiency.
Yeah.
So I think that it is important that the bulk of the creative work, well, not the bulk, all of the creative work is done by human beings, by artists, by developers, right? But say, for instance, hey, we can use generative AI to not have to animate all of these frames one by one.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that this is something that, oh my God, no, you need to animate all of this manually. It's like, no, you have generative AI generate some of these animations, and then you go in and you polish it up with a proper animator, and you're going to get stuff done way, way faster than you would before. What the important thing is ensuring that it remains with quality. Because to me, as far as I'm concerned, animation is one of the most important things. It's very weird using generative AI to that, but that's one of the examples that I would bring up. You can also use generative AI to just like generate code for more boring things like inventory management and shit like that.
Yeah.
You can use generative AI to make code for that. So there are things where generative AI can play a role in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be very careful as to how you use it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, and this is where I sort of ran a little bit ahead, right, of the article or of you reading the article, because, already knew where we're going with it. But from my position, AI is inevitable. There's no way to get around it. The problem with games today, especially since all of these developers want to do, as you said, horse bollocks, and they want to do all of this other nonsense, this stuff takes time because someone has to physically sit there and figure it out. AI figures it out for you. It makes it a lot easier and a lot faster. And it's brain dead work. Now, where it does get a little bad is for junior developers, because oftentimes that's how you would get into the industry, right? Is by signing up as a junior editor so that you can do the more mundane, boring tasks so that you can then get,
so you can slowly move up.
Yeah, you could hopefully move up and get a better job. That's going to kill it. Right? That's going to kill that position entirely. But it is also going to save companies a lot of money that in a perfect world, and I'm sort of almost on the verge of laughing as I say this, should be passed on to consumers, but probably will not. We'll probably not see a saint in savings.
Of course not.
But technically,
line goes up forever, baby. Line goes up.
Yeah.
The line must go up and up and up. That's the way it goes. We're all slaves to a line somewhere.
Yeah. What I do think is sometimes overlooked by people is while, yes, this destroys the foot in the door that you would have as a developer, what it does open is the possibility for developers to start their own studios. Because previously, if you wanted to start your own studio, you needed money. Because you needed at least a couple of developers to help you get shit going. Now, with AI being what it is, you can probably make your own game, just you and AI. And even if that game isn't going to be the most advanced, that could get you the foot in the door, right? Because the next game, you can actually hire a couple of people to help you, and now you can start making even better games. So I do think AI in that regard opens a lot of doors now for people to make their own games and probably eventually get to a place where indie studios can design AAA games. Like Claire Obscure, Expedition 33. They prove that with the right application of technology, and I almost want to guarantee you that some AI went into the development there, they did it, right? They made a game that looks and plays like a AAA game. And they did it with 30 people, which 10 years ago probably wouldn't have been possible. So yeah, I think all things considered, he's not wrong. Where it does get wrong, where it absolutely does get wrong, and this is where the next story that you shared comes in. Can you tell us about the Jurassic Park stuff?
So Jurassic World Evolution 3, and this is made by a developer that is kind of like close to my heart a little bit because these are the same people that work on Elite Dangerous, which is a game that I've spent well over 500 hours at least playing around in that sandbox because I still think it's got the best flight model ever made for those types of games personally.
Okay.
But it's like, this is where they completely dropped the ball because they decided, hey, what if we just used AI generated portraits of people in our Jurassic World Evolution 3? And this is where using AI is a piece of shit. Now, it's important to mention that the story is that they are removing this, but ultimately they were trying to get away with it.
Yeah.
They're trying to be like, hey, what if we just don't pay artists?
Yeah.
And we just replace them with generative AI. This is like the complete opposite end of the spectrum. See, Sakurai talks about using AI as a tool to assist in development. These guys were going like, what if rather than using it as a tool, we just replace the artists?
Yeah.
Since this shit can generate images so easily. The problem is this type of stuff ends up just being AI slop because it's usually very uninspired. Since artificial intelligence is still not able to really replicate human creativity, and therefore usually people can tell like, oh yeah, this is an AI generated image because it's got no soul in it.
Yeah.
And that's what they were trying to get away with, and that fucking sucks.
I think, there's nothing wrong if you have artists working and they generate AI or generate art through AI as like a starting point, right? As like going, okay, I don't know what to do here. Generate an old man sitting on a chair, right? And it does it. And that maybe sparks inspiration. And you're like, oh, okay, now I have an idea. And from there you can work and you can fix it. But it has to be cooperative. So you want to see the artist and the AI working together. In this instance, in the way that these guys used it, you're absolutely correct. You're going to end up, and it's so easy to see. When you look at AI art, you can tell, you can't necessarily always say definitively that this is AI art, but every single piece of AI art that I've ever seen, I look at it and I go, it looks wrong. Like something about it just looks a little wrong. I remember Rurikon shared that trailer with me a few months ago.
That was such a good trailer, wasn't it?
Yeah. And as I'm watching, and Rurikon says nothing. He just says, watch this trailer because we're going to be talking about it later. And I watch it and I'm like, something's off. And if it wasn't for the fact that as one of the scuba divers is swimming, the AI completely doesn't know how humans swim, I would not have been able to figure it out, right? I would just have known something is wrong here. I don't know why, but it looks a little off-center. But then the guy's leg turned into jelly as he was swimming, and I was like, oh, wait, is this AI? Is this what am I watching AI here?
Good old Slop.
Yeah, and it is Slop, and companies should be punished for that. They should not be doing it. That being said, we'll probably move into a future very soon where it will become mega hard to detect what's been made by AI.
Because this is the worst it's ever going to be. That's the worst part about it, right?
Yeah.
Whenever you see something that's made with generative AI, you already know this is the worst that it's ever going to be.
Yeah, it's only going to get better from here. But I think there are things where AI can be really good, even in just straight up generating it. Creation of assets and doodads, right? Those can sometimes take hundreds of hours to create all the different types of chairs and rocks and stuff that you want to put in the game. Whereas if you just have AI take care of all of that, it frees up your artists to actually get to making cool shit that you can put into the game, like new boss fights or new quest lines or stuff like that. So hopefully the guys in the gaming industry realize that what they do is art, and they should respect it. Just because you can do something doesn't necessarily mean that you should. And that's probably a good lesson to take almost always from everything. And now we get to Rurikon's favorite part of the whole podcast, because he gets to talk about his favorite game. Well, one of his favorite games. And then also talking about his other favorite game. So never mind, we are talking about Rurikon's favorite games here. Rurikon, tell us about Nightreign, please.
So this is just a quick update. Nightreign is getting, as a matter of fact, it already got, as of this recording, it already has a new hard mode boss. So last week we got Gaping Jaw. I did Gaping Jaw with a group of friends. It was a ton of fun. You also get one of the things that I didn't know is that you also get new currency whenever you do these mobs. This is in-game currency. You can't buy it for real money. You have to go and fight the boss to get this currency. Okay. That gives you access to a couple of more juicy items, some more relics, and I think there might be, I don't remember if there was another skin in there or not. I don't think there were skins, but there are some interesting rewards for doing that. So Nightreign staying still a lot of fun. This week, new boss, Dark Drift Knight, which I've already heard from people that it's really, really hard. They mixed up their AMs and their PMs, so I thought it was going to go out 3 p.m. for me today. It was actually 3 a.m., and then they were like, oh, actually, we made a mistake, guys. It's already out. Go fight, have fun. I'm going to be streaming that. That will be a blast as well. Because Nightreign is just probably in terms of co-op, it's my favorite co-op game that's come out this year. Yeah. It's really, really fun to play this in co-op. So this has been a blast. Highly recommend. And then we have Monster Hunter Wilds is getting its title update to later today. By the time you guys watch this, which is going to be tomorrow, it will already be announced what's in title update 2 officially. Not that it matters, because fucking PlayStation just went what if we just tell everybody real quick? And they shoved this. They just fucking did it. They just fucking spoiled everything that's coming with title update 2. Is yay, thanks, bro. We appreciate that. That's fucking fantastic. Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to be covering the Capcom showcase. That's going to be later today. Again, by the time you watch this, I will already have done it. But yeah, that's all I got. There's updates for Monster Hunter Wilds, updates for Nightreign. I've been jumping back into First Berserker Kazan, which has also been interesting. Nice. They're making a female version of the main character.
Oh wow! Ooh.
I don't know what they're gonna call her, because his name is Kazan. I guess you could call her Kazana. I don't know, but I was like, yeah, that's cool.
Kazine.
I don't know if that works. Kazine, whatever.
Kazine.
Yeah, First Berserker Kazan's still fun.
I mean, it's not like Kazan is a very obvious name, right? Kazan sounds more like a place than a guy, so you can probably call it whatever, and it'd work. It's one of the things I actually appreciate from Cyberpunk is the fact that they called their protagonist V, so it just works, right? It's just perfect because V can be male or female, doesn't even matter.
No, I'm sorry. V is super female.
V isn't female. Just because vagina is spelled with a V doesn't mean that V is female, right? That's not how that works. Right? V can also be for very or Viagra, which is a male thing. Women don't take Viagra. So you can do a lot of things with V.
Oh, God.
Or virgin, which is the complete opposite end of the spectrum.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure thing.
But, ladies and gentlemen, that is it from us for this week of the Mythic Banter. If you enjoyed it, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe, because we really appreciate you for doing so. And as we're kind of showing you, he'll paint a little bit more and keep you up to date on everything paint related. Also, remember that you can get early access to all of our podcasts over on YouTube for a membership fee of $5. Does help out the channel a ton. Really big shout out to all of you that have already signed up. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you so much for joining us. Be good to each other, be kind to each other, and we will see all of you in the next one. Peace.